Hi, I'm Randy Booth, pastor of Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church in Nacogdoches, Texas. I've been a pastor for 40 years and a husband for 50 years. I think I've learned a few things over these many years, most of them the hard way. Perhaps a few tips could save you some of that trouble. Men, as you begin a new pastorate, you usually come in with a bit of capital in the bank, and we often call this the honeymoon period. As the new guy, most folks are excited about your being there and are also eager to support your leadership. No doubt you have a vision for the church along with some ideas about changes you might want to make, perhaps liturgical, organizational, or with new ministries. Pick out a few of the most important items and begin to work on those, first with the other leadership and then wisely with the congregation. Remember, change can be quite scary. Don't run down a new path, but rather take them down familiar paths and show them new things. You can mention broadly where you would like to go in the future, greasing the skids for that future, but enjoy the honeymoon. It probably won't last long. You will need a short, medium, and long-range plan. Be patient. You plan to be here a while, and rushing things might be counterproductive. Right away, you need to start making deposits. Small ones and large ones. The reason is you're going to need to be able to make withdrawals with people, and if you don't have money in the bank, you'll fail. This not only applies to changes you need to make in the church, but also to the pastoral work you'll need to do in families, marriages, and with individuals. People will need to know that you truly love them and their families before you try to fix them. You'll need to give before you receive. You'll need to know them all ahead of time, and they will need to know you. Jesus describes the Good Shepherd in John 10, starting in verse 3. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. And in verse 11, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. The hireling flees because he's a hireling and does not care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. As pastors, you'll need to love your subject, of course, the Bible and theology, but you'll need to love your students as well. And deposits come in many forms, all of which are expressions of your love for your fellow elders, the deacons, the families, including every child, along with every individual. Here are a few ways to make those regular deposits. First, if at all possible, you should know everyone's name, including all the children. I've learned that people will love you if they know that you love their children. Short conversations before and after church, between Sunday school and worship. I use the fellowship mealtime that we have every week to float around the room and have conversations with as many people as I can. Have lunch or coffee, special one-on-one time. My church has a small budget line for local hospitality that helps me do this. Of course, cards, letters, emails, text, phone calls to individuals. This is a great way to regularly check on folks, express gratitude, ask for prayer requests. On Monday mornings, I look over my list of members and ask, who do I think I need to make contact with this week? Occasionally, emails or blog posts sent to your whole congregation, because this lets them know that you're reading and thinking, but more importantly, that as you do, you're thinking about them. Every Sunday for the past 25 years, I've given candy to children after the worship service, and not a few teenagers. Those little children are going to grow up, and when they become 15, they're going to need a pastor that they know, and a pastor that's made deposits with them. Of course, extending hospitality in your home, listening, telling stories, feasting, laughing, singing, and praying together. Ask people for help. People love to give you assistance, from little tasks to large tasks. Ask for their opinions and advice. Ask them perhaps to read a small book and get back with you and tell you what they thought about that book. Now, this list could easily be expanded, and so you'll need to be creative, but self-consciously make deposits so that when the day comes, and it will come, that you need to make a withdrawal, you will have money in the bank. There will be a time when you will need to say hard things to a husband and wife, or to parents, or a teenager, and if you're a stranger, they won't hear you. But if you've made deposits, if you've loved them ahead of time, they will know your voice and they will follow you. Amen.